and good afternoon, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kagan, and it's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by See-Through Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor Show, as well as Atlas Roofing. Thank you guys for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We do have a few areas that we're going to be watching for severe weather today, including the northeast as well as into the southeast and even in parts of the central plains. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then getting into tomorrow, there's going to be another chance for severe weather in the central plains into parts of the western Great Lakes. Chicago, could you see something? So we'll talk about that as well. And if you haven't noticed, it's been really hot, and we'll just briefly talk about the heat as well. So before we get into the forecast, we do have a few events. The first one is ongoing. We are down in Daytona Beach, Florida through, this is going through tomorrow. We're at the Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Expo, so make sure you come on by and say hi to us there. We have a booth. Come on by and talk to us about what we do, what we offer. Come see our really cool truck. You can't miss it. And then getting into the next, let's see, it's like a little over a week from now, the Riva, the roofing machine, will be down in Orlando, Florida at the Rosen Center Hotel. So make sure you come on by and say hi to us there as well. So here are yesterday's storm reports. There are a good amount of reports that came in yesterday and across a few different regions. The first one is here, mostly in the southeast, from Kentucky down into Tennessee, eastward into West Virginia. Some scatter reports here across the Carolinas down to Georgia and the north parts of Florida. And then we had some scatter reports here in the desert southwest, and even some hail reports here just to the southwest of Fargo, North Dakota, and down into southwestern Minnesota. So here are our current conditions across the U.S. The central part of the U.S. is pretty quiet right now. Down into the southern part of the U.S., we have some shower and thunderstorm activity along a stalled out front. And then here is our main weather maker for today. I'm going to zoom on in here. We have a low pressure system up into Canada, cold front going right down into central New York. Along and ahead of that cold front, we are seeing some thunderstorms starting to pop up, even a few warnings here. These orange boxes, if you can see them, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, and we even have a tornado warning out in parts of northeastern Vermont. So make sure you guys take your precautions if you guys are impacted by severe weather this afternoon and evening. And there's also a severe thunderstorm watch out for you guys anyway, from Maine down to eastern New York, for wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour and hail up to 1.5 inches in diameter. And right along that cold front here, we are going to be experiencing some more thunderstorm development. There were some warnings out just to the west of Atlanta earlier. I believe there's a new one that just popped up here. Magic. Oh, that's kind of fun. Yeah, a new warning out. This is actually still in Alabama. And then we do have some more thunderstorms starting to fire along that cold front in central North Carolina, and another watch has just been issued for you guys in North Carolina up into Virginia and parts of eastern Maryland. And you can see more showers here along that stalled out front in Oklahoma and Texas. And then getting up into the central and northern plains, we're quiet right now. Plenty of sunshine, but that may change this afternoon and evening with some potential storm development. So here are current temperatures across the U.S. It's continuing to be really hot out there, although it's a little bit better compared to what we've been seeing the last few days here in the southern part of the country. It's 93 in Dallas, so we're not nearing 100 like we've been seeing the last few days. Although it's going to continue to be really toasty out there. 93 as well as in Houston, 89 in Miami, and those temperatures are going to, they're still quite toasty as we get into the eastern part of the U.S. and pretty much elsewhere here across the lower 48. And here are our dew points. You can see these really dark shaded greens here in the Gulf Coast states. These are where the dew points are high, and when you go outside it just feels really soupy and uncomfortable. So a lot of moisture here, basically from the Gulf Coast all the way up into the middle of the country. So if any storms do develop, there is plenty of moisture available for those storms to fire up. Now let's take a look at some future radars. There are a few areas that we're going to be looking at. The first one is here in the northeast. Like we just saw, there already are storms developing. Some severe thunderstorm warnings and even a tornado warning are already in effect as of right now. So those severe storms are going to continue to fire along and ahead of that cold front as we get into this afternoon. As we go forward in time here, this is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Those storms will continue to track to the east along and ahead of that cold front. So from Vermont to New Hampshire up into Maine, down south into Connecticut, we could see some severe weather here. And then as we get into later in the evening at 7 p.m. Eastern time, you can see this line of storms here tracking eastward. Bangor, Maine, you can see some severe weather this evening as well. And then as we get later on in the evening, for the most part, we should quiet down. A few isolated storms may still stick around, but the overall severe weather threat should be ending as that front gets off the coast here. And then, getting into the overnight hours, besides a few showers, we should be in the clear. Now getting into the southeast, again, along and ahead of this front that is just sticking around here. A few showers and storms are already ongoing. As we continue to go through the afternoon, you can see some more storms are going to be firing ahead of that cold front. Atlanta, you could see some marginally severe weather today, as well as getting into parts of the Carolinas. And then getting into the later evening hours, you can see more storms are expected to develop along and ahead that cold front from Birmingham to just north of Jackson into parts of northern Louisiana, Shreveport. You could see some marginally severe weather as well. And that activity will stretch into parts of northern Texas and southeastern Oklahoma. This activity should, for the most part, stay below severe limits. But some general thunderstorms are expected to stick around. And then you can see as we get into the overnight hours, this activity will slowly make its way to the south. So Jackson, Mississippi, you can see possibly some thunderstorm development as we get into the overnight hours, and near daybreak, that activity will reach the Gulf of Mexico. Now out into the northern and central plains, like we just saw a few moments ago, it's quiet right now, and it should remain quiet as we get into the next few hours here. But as we get to about 5:30 p.m. Central Time, we are expecting some storms to start to fire up here in western Nebraska. And then as we continue to go through the evening, some more thunderstorm development is expected to fire up here in central Nebraska. And then as we get into the later evening hours, we will still see some thunderstorms sticking around, although I think the severe chances are going to diminish. And you can see some more activity in parts of central Minnesota. I don't think that's going to be reaching severe limits, but you never know with Mother Nature. But I think just some general thunderstorms for Minneapolis. No severe weather is expected there today. So speaking of hail, let's take a look at our forecast for today. We do have multiple areas that we're going to be keeping an eye on for hail. The first one is here in the northeast. I do think for the most part the hail that will be falling from these storms will only reach up to about $half size. And I think for the most part the wind is going to be the bigger story here in the northeast. But we do have a chance of hail from Portland, Maine to Burlington, Vermont, southward to Albany, New York, and even New York City. with any of those storms that do reach severe limits. And then we have another marginal risk to see up to half-dollar size hail with those storms along and ahead of that cold front from Jackson, Mississippi, eastward to Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta. You can see a marginal chance of severe weather with up to half-dollar size hail today as well. And those chances reach into parts of central, North, and South Carolina. And then lastly, getting up into parts of the central and northern plains, Sioux Falls, you can see up to quarter to half-dollar size hail with those strongest storms. Now getting into our wind, the same general areas. You can see here the one in the central plains is a little bit larger than the wind threat, or the hail threat, excuse me. But first, let's check out the northeast. Again, I think the chances for wind are going to be a bit higher compared to the hail chances today. I can see we have a margin or moderate set for Portland, westward to Burlington, down to Albany. I think this is the best chance to see those wind gusts. I'm going to say up to 70 miles per hour for you guys, and a lower end chance to see those severe weather or severe wind gusts down into New York City. And then same general area compared to the hail here in the southeast. Low end chance to see up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in Raleigh, but a higher chance to see those wind gusts from Atlanta to Columbia, South Carolina, westward to Birmingham, and then a low end chance from Jackson to Shreveport. And then lastly, that severe threat of wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour will be possible from North Platte. So I think Nebraska today, you'll see a bigger wind threat compared to hail, but that chance of wind will stretch to the north here, including Sioux Falls, and maybe as far east as Des Moines. I think for the most part it should stay to the west of you guys here in Des Moines. I didn't include you guys. As you can see, there's no little thing there. So yeah, up to 60 mile per hour gusts are possible there for this afternoon and evening. Now getting into tomorrow, the northeast will once again see the potential for severe weather, although I think the chances tomorrow are going to be a little bit lower compared to today. We'll wake up tomorrow morning and there'll be a few showers going on in the morning hours in parts of western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania. Then getting into the main afternoon hours is at 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. We are expecting some isolated thunderstorm development here in parts of New York, and then getting into later on into the evening, that activity will move off to the east, and as we lose that daytime heating, you can see those storms are expected to fizzle out. And getting into tomorrow night and into the overnight hours on Saturday, we should remain relatively dry. Now getting into the central and northern plains for tomorrow, there will be some showers going on around 9 a.m. Central Time from Iowa into parts of Nebraska. Omaha, you could see some showers tomorrow morning, as well as getting into parts of Iowa, to parts of western Illinois and into Wisconsin. But as we get into tomorrow afternoon, you can see some isolated storms starting to fire up here. This is at 3 p.m. tomorrow Central Time. And then as we get later on in the evening, we could see some stronger storms starting to fire up here in western and central Nebraska tomorrow evening. And then as we continue to go into the late evening, into the overnight hours, some more storms are expected to fire up here in Iowa. And then getting into the late overnight hours, we got to keep an eye on parts of eastern Iowa into Illinois, Chicago. I did mention at the beginning, you could see some marginally severe hail. We're not expecting anything crazy with very large hail, but the chances are there for you guys to see something as we get into late Friday night into early Saturday morning. And you can see as we wake up on Saturday morning, we will see at least some general thunderstorms going on there. So here is tomorrow's hail forecast. Again, a few, or I guess just this one particular area here in the central and central plains into the parts of the western Great Lakes up to golf ball size hail is possible with those storms that fire up in western and central Nebraska, North Platte. I think you guys have a decent shot to see up to golf ball size hail tomorrow. Otherwise, a low end chance to see up to $0.5 size hail from Omaha to Des Moines, eastward to Madison, Wisconsin, and even Chicago. We got to watch you guys as we get into late Friday night into early Saturday morning. And here is our wind forecast. Again, here is that chance of wind in the northeast. It's going to be very pop-up thunderstorm activity. It's going to be really isolated, but any storms that do fire up will have up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts from Albany down to State College, Pennsylvania. And then our larger risk out here in the central plains into the western parts of the Great Lakes region, we can see up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts here from North Platte to Omaha, eastward to Des Moines, and even Chicago, and then northward to Madison, Wisconsin. Now, like we've been talking about for the last few weeks, it's been really hot. However, you can see here in Oklahoma and Texas, it's still hot. We still have some advisories out, but we're not under any excessive heat warnings for today, which is really good news because it's been really nasty here. But we do have some more warnings out for parts of Alabama and Mississippi, even southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana, and then some advisories out for other parts of the country, and of course the Southwest. You guys are really hot as well, so make sure you guys drink plenty of water and get into shade if you are outside. If you can, stay inside, because it's still, even though we don't have those excessive heat warnings in the central and southern plains, it's still really hot out there. And unfortunately, even though we're seeing a little bit of a break today, it's not going to last that long. So let's look at our future jet stream. We do have a little bit of that disturbance here in the northeast that is producing that severe weather right now. And you can see that dip here. This is where the cold front is. That's going to continue to track to the east. And there's a little bit of a dip here as well. That's going to be the trigger for those storms this afternoon and evening. And then as we get into Friday, you can see that a little disturbance there, as well as in the northeast still. And then getting into Saturday, here comes another little disturbance in the northern parts of the U.S. And here is that heat dome returning, and it's going to continue to move off to basically the same areas that have been dealing with that really extreme heat. So enjoy today, because that really nasty heat's going to be coming back. And then again, getting into Sunday, you can see another little shortwave trough here. So it's just going to be this continuous pattern of little troughs moving across the northern part of the U.S. and a heat dome here in the southern part of the U.S. like we've been seeing for the last few weeks. And you can see that heat dome continues to take over the southern part of the U.S. So we do have a risk for severe weather on Saturday with another little disturbance. You can see the area is pretty widespread. So we can see the possible severe weather chances from my home state of Michigan westward to Wisconsin to Minnesota, Minneapolis. You're in this threat, so we got to watch you guys. And even Chicago, although I think as of right now, chances are on the lower end, and these storm chances go as far west as Omaha, Nebraska. So again, this is still a few days out, but we will keep you guys posted on the severe weather in this region as we get closer. But that's all I have for you today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at YouTube, as well as our TikTok page, where we've been creating some fun content for you guys. And if you have any questions, concerns, if you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. And again, we're down in Florida. at the Florida Sheep Meadow Expo. So make sure you come and say hi to us there. We'll be there through tomorrow. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday.